Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Theresa Mae, the leader of Group 8. Today, my members and I are excited to share the findings of our research entitled A Research-Based Approach to Anti-Corruption Policies, Strengthening Transparency and Accountability in an Organization. Welcome to our research interface for GBER 323. Let's log in and explore the system designed to support our study. Let me introduce to you the researchers of this research. We have Ms. Laica Leron, Ms. Julia Marie Rodriguez, and yours truly, Ms. Theresa Mae.
Welcome to Chapter 1 of our research study. This chapter serves as the foundation of our research, introducing the topic, outlining the research background, and providing the context of the study. Our focus is on anti-corruption policy, what they are, their significance in today's organizational environments, and how they are implemented to promote transparency, accountability, and stakeholder involvement. I am Laica Leron, your researcher number one. Researchers' background information. First, we have corruption. It is the intentional abuse of power for personal gain or self interest. For example, bribery, fraud, or embezzlement. So it weakens institution by hindering development, distorting fair competition, and eroding public trust. Next is anti-corruption policies. So it is essential tools to prevent, detect, and address unethical conduct. So by promoting transparency and accountability, they help institutions operating fairly and protecting stakeholders. So in this study, we evaluate the effectiveness and implementation of these policies in combating corruption. So, the importance of anti-corruption policies. It is crucial for fostering trust and promoting fairness and protecting stakeholder rights. As Pratibha Patil of 2025 notes, corruption undermines development and weakens governance. So, highlighting the need for strong and enforceable policies implementing these frameworks, it is essential for ethical, sustainable governance. Challenges in combating corruption. So, corruption remains difficult to detect and prove, often hidden within systems or evolving powerful individuals. These challenges highlight the need for strong, enforceable policies that embed integrity, accountability, and transparency to organizational culture. So, lastly, key anti-corruption measures. So, it is effective measures includes whistleblower protection, independent oversight, and digital tools for transparency beyond compliance. So, these practices promote ethical operations and build trust with stakeholders. Researchers' purpose of the study. So, this study seeks to explore the role and impact of anti corruption policies in organizational settings. Specifically, it aims to answer two key research questions. So, by addressing these questions, the study aims to provide insights that contribute to the development of more effective, transparent, and accountable governance frameworks. Researchers' objectives of the study. First, identify risks. This objective seeks to identify the specific vulnerabilities of multinational organizations faced when operating across diverse regulatory environments. And it will also explore how these organizations are impacted by corruption, including financial, reputational, and operational risks. Second is review current policies. The aim is to assess the effectiveness of current anti corruption laws and internal policies in preventing corrupt practices. So, this evaluation will help determine any gaps in regulations that may contribute to corruption within multinational organizations. Third is create and enforce a strong anti-corruption plan. So, this objective involves creating a detailed, actionable anti-corruption policy. So, it tailored to multinational companies. So, it will also outline enforcement strategies to ensure that the policy is implemented effectively across all branches and subsidiaries. Fourth is to assess leadership and culture. This will investigate how organizational culture and leadership styles influence the likelihood of corrupt behavior within a company. So, the study will highlight the importance of ethical leadership and a values driven corporate culture in preventing corruption. Fifth is suggest ways to boost transparency and accountability. So these objectives focus on identifying practical strategies to increase transparency and ensure accountability in corporate operations. So it will explore how multinational organizations can adapt best practices to build trust and reduce the risk of corruption. Researchers' significance of the study. First, we have multinational organizations. So, for multinational organizations like Jollibee, the main reason for this is to help them, their company, to identify potential corruption risks and its global operations and to enhance its efforts to implement preventive measures. Second is stakeholders. So, the reason for this is that the study helps stakeholders understand where current policies may be lacking and offer solutions to improve them, leading to stronger ethical standards and more effective governance within the organization. Third is researchers. The reason for this is that the study offers practical data and insights. So, allowing researchers to better assess current strategies and find ways to make them more effective in preventing corruption. Researchers' structure of the study. So, in chapter 1, under the introduction, this chapter provides an overview of our topic. It covers with background, significance, objectives, structure, and the roles of our team members. In chapter 2, under the discussion of key concepts, here we explore key theories and concepts. So, including definitions, relevant frameworks, and the challenges involved. So, in chapter 3, under data gathering, this section outlines the data collection methods. So, we use both primary and secondary and presents an analysis of our key findings. So, in chapter 4, under summary and recommendations, we summarize our main findings, revisit our objectives, and provide our set of recommendations. So, in chapter 5, under the conclusion, finally, we conclude the study by summarizing the project and highlighting the impact of our recommendations. Researchers' tasks. As researchers, we ensured that each chapter was equally divided among us. To promote fair task distribution throughout the study, we contributed fairly and collaboratively to every chapter. So, moreover, in our group presentation, we decided that each researcher will discuss one chapter. So, this approach allowed us to explore and understand the overall study more thoroughly.
Welcome to Chapter 2 of our research study. This chapter delves into key concepts essential for understanding corruption and its impact. We explore accountability, anti-corruption measures, bribery, nepotism, integrity, and transparency, highlighting their roles in fostering ethical governance. Institutional theory helps explain how formal laws and informal norms shape corruption dynamics, influencing organizations worldwide. I am Julia Marie Rodriguez, your researcher number 2. So in this slide provides a definition of key terms to ensure that readers fully understand their meaning and significance within the research framework. By clarifying these concepts, the section establishes a common foundation for discussing issues related to governance, ethics, and accountability. So first is accountability. Refers to the obligation of individuals and organizations in both public and private sectors to take responsibilities for their actions and disclose information transparently. This principle ensures that decision makers are answerable for their conduct. Second is anti-corruption. Encompasses various strategies, policies, and practices designed to prevent, detect, and combat corruption, ensuring ethical conduct in governance and business. Third is bribery. Involves the offering, giving, receiving, or soliciting money, services, or valuables to improperly influence a person's judgment or conduct in a position of power. And fourth is conflict of interest. Occurs when an individual in a position of trust has competing interests that could interfere with their ability to act partially and in the best interest of organization or public. Fifth bullet is corruption. The abuse of entrusted power for personal or private gain, often leading to unethical decision-making and undermining trust in institutions. Sixth bullet is integrity. The adherence to moral and ethical principles demonstrating honesty, fairness, and consistency in actions and decisions. Seventh bullet, nepotism, a form of favoritism where individuals in power grant jobs, benefits, or opportunities to family members regardless of merit. For the last bullet is transparency, the practice of being open, honest, and communicative in decision-making and operations, allowing stakeholders to access necessary information and hold individuals or organizations accountable. By defining these terms, this section enhances clarity and ensures a shared understanding of fundamental concepts within the research. Next is institutional theory. Institutional theory provides a useful lens for analyzing and development and effectiveness of anti-corruption policies within organizations. It highlights how both formal and informal institutions shape behaviors, influence governance, and determine the success of policy implementation. In this slide is an explanation of key institutional factors that affect corruption and anti-corruption efforts. First is formal institution. This refers to officially established laws, policies, and regulations created by governing bodies to prevent corruption. This strength and effectiveness of formal institutions depend on their clarity, strict enforcement, and resilience against manipulation. If these institutions are weak due to loopholes, lack of enforcement, or political interference, they can fail to detect corrupt practices and may even create more opportunities for unethical behavior. Second is informal institutions. Unlike formal institutions, these consist of unwritten societal norms, cultural expectations, and traditions that shape behavior. In many cases, informal institutions have a stronger influence than formal regulations, especially in environments where corruption is widely accepted or normalized. When informal norms supported corrupt behaviors, such as favoritism or bribery being seen as the way things work, they can undermine formal anti-corruption policies, making them ineffective. Third is path dependence. This concept explains how historical institutional practices shape present and future behaviors. Societies or organizations with a long-standing history of corruption often struggle to implement reforms because of existing culture and system resist change. If corruption has been deeply ingrained in governance or business practices, reversing it requires overcoming entrenched habits, powerful structures, and resistance from those who benefit from their status quo. And last is collective behavior. Institutions influence the expectation and norms of groups, which in turn affect individual behavior, When institutions promote ethical conduct, accountability, and transparency, they foster a culture and discourages corruption. Conversely, if institutions tolerate or even reward corrupt practices, individuals are more likely to engage in unethical behavior, believing it to be the norm. Creating an anti-corruption culture requires institutional efforts to reinforce ethical values and ensure the integrity is consistently rewarded. Next is challenges in anti-corruption. Corruption presents serious challenges for organizations affecting their financial stability, legal standing, and public image. Addressing these challenges requires strong governance, compliance mechanism, and ethical leadership. In this slide is an explanation of key challenges organizations face due to corruption. Challenges for corruption in organization. First is increased operational cost and uncertainty. Corrupt practices such as bribery or fraud can inflate operational expenses. Organizations may need to pay unofficial fees, bribes, or engage in unethical financial transactions to secure contracts or navigate regulatory hurdles. Additionally, corruption introduces unpredictability in business operations, as companies cannot rely on fair competition or transparent decision-making, leading to inefficiencies and financial instability. Second is legal risk and compliance obligations. Organizations operating in environments with strict anti-corruption laws such as Foreign Corrupt Practices Act or FCPA or UK Bribery Act face significant legal risk if they are found engaging in corrupt activities. Failure to comply with these regulations can result in lawsuits, heavy fines, and criminal penalty for both company and its executive. Even unintentional violation can lead costly legal battles. Next is regulatory changes and enforcement variability. Organizations must constantly adapt to evolving anti-corruption laws and enforcement practices across different regions. Some jurisdictions may have strict anti-corruption regulations with aggressive enforcement, while others may have weak laws or inconsistent application. This variability creates challenges in maintaining compliance across multiple markets and requires ongoing monitoring of legal changes. So last is complex legal battles. Companies implicated in corruption may face prolonged and expensive legal disputes involving regulatory agencies, competitors, and even internal whistleblowers. These legal battles can drain financial resources, divert management focus from business operations, and lead to long-term reputational and operational setbacks. Corruption poses multifaceted risks that go beyond financial losses, affecting legal standing, operational efficiency, and corporate reputation. Organizations must implement strong anti-corruption policies, enhance internal controls, and foster an ethical culture to mitigate these risks and ensure sustainable business success.
Welcome to the Chapter 3 of our research study. So this chapter, we will discuss the methods used for data collection, the presentation of data we collected, the alignment of theory to our research, the reliability and validity of our data, the challenges and limitations that we encountered, and also the ethical consideration for our study. So again, I am Theresa Mae Daang, your researcher number 3. The methods used for our data collection is primary and secondary source, but we will focus first on our primary source. For this, we use the survey method. Based on this graph, 100% of our respondents says that they are aware of their organization's anti-corruption policy, meaning they have knowledge what anti-corruption is. Based on this graph, we can see that there's 5 different kinds of corruption. And according to our respondents, 62.5% or 5 people experience bribery at their work. 50% or 4 people says they experience fraud, while 12.5% or 1 person experience extortion. 87.5% or 7 people says they experience conflict of interest, and 25% or 2 people says they experience nepotism inside their organizations. So as you can see in this graph, makikita natin that there are different kinds of corruption that is arising inside the organization, depende sa kung nasaan sila. According to this graph, 50% of our respondents says that they learned the anti-corruption policy of their organization through an employee handbook. 62.5% naman na nagsabi that they learned it through training sessions, while 37.5% says that they learned it through an email or newsletter that is sent to them, and 62.5% ang nagsabi that they learned it through their colleagues. So according to this graph, all of the responses we receive are positive, wherein 62.5% of our respondents voted strongly agree, while 37.5% of our respondents voted agree. With the involvement of employees in the formulation of anti-corruption policies, it will result into a more effective outcome of the anti-corruption. So according to this graph, all of the responses we receive are also positive, wherein 87.5% of our respondents voted strongly agree, and 12.5% of our respondents voted agree, wherein they believe that stronger leadership commitment will lead to a more positive organizational culture. So based on this graph, 50% of our respondents believe that having a reward system in their organization is effective. 37.5% of our respondents says that having a reward system is very effective, while 12.5% of our respondents says that having a reward system is just moderately effective only. So, according to this graph, 50% of our respondents says that they agree, and 37.5% of our respondents says that they are strongly agree that having an anti-corruption symbols in the organization like posters and messages can influence the employees' behavior more positively. But 12.5% of our respondents disagree with this. According to this graph, 87.5% of our respondents voted strongly agree that having a safe space for employees like whistleblowers can help strengthen the organization's culture, while 12.5% of our respondents voted neutral on this. Based on this graph, all the responses we receive are positive, wherein 75% voted strongly agree and 25% voted agree, believing that having a peer accountability among colleagues can encourage ethical behavior and stop the corrupt practices inside the organization. Lastly, for this graph, 62.5% of our respondents voted yes significantly, saying that they notice a significant decrease with the corrupt practices inside their organization after the implementation of anti-corruption policies. 25% of our respondents voted yes moderately, saying that they notice a moderate change, while 12.5% of our respondents says that there's no change in their organization even after the implementation of the anti-corruption policies. So another methods used for our data collection is a secondary source, wherein we use online databases. For our secondary source, we decided to use the Unilever company. So under the Unilever, they encourages their employees to report unethical conduct to foster a culture of ethical behavior and accountability. The Unilever also implemented the whistleblower system, wherein they encourage their employees to use confidential channels to report unethical behavior of their colleagues, while the Unilever company ensure the protection against the retaliation on the whistleblower employee. And lastly, the Unilever also implemented a disciplinary action for those employee that is caught doing an unethical behavior. With the alignment of our data collected with institutional theory, implementing anti-corruption policies, organizations can gain insights in the complexities of corruption, meaning Anti-corruption policies play a vital role in how organizations build their reputation, connect with their stakeholders, manage their governance, and achieve their long-term success. So, according to the institutional theory, organizations can see that following the ethical standards and handling corruption properly will not only meet legal and ethical requirements but also help them grow sustainably over time. Here are some of the challenges we researchers face while we are conducting this research. So the first one is the confidentiality concerns. So some of our respondents are indecisive to participate due to the fear of having their information leaked. The second is the low response rate. So originally, we have a target of 15 respondents, but due to the lack of connection, we can only obtain 8 respondents. And lastly is the time constraints. So our respondents are very busy with their work as they are in corporate field. So we can conduct a more thorough survey with them. Here are some of the limitations we encountered. First is the limited geographic scope. So some of the finding may not be applicable to other sectors or locations. Lack of qualitative data. So the research relied heavily on survey questions only, limiting deeper insights with the topic. And lastly is the distortion of response. Participants may have biased opinions. So under the reliability and validity, although the data that we collected is reliable and valid, the small sample size may limit its representative. Under the ethical consideration, before we begin our research, we ask for the participants' consent if they want to participate with the study. And under the Data Privacy Act of the Philippines, all the information that we gather will be confidential. And according to the RA 8293, or the Philippines Intellectual Property Code, the researchers will acknowledge the original source of any secondary material that we use. So, in conclusion, our research highlights the critical role that anti-corruption policies play in shaping organizations' good governance. Thank you for your attention and thank you for your time. I hope you learned something new today.